Revealed. 18 years later, a Millionaire'S incredible court-frozen moment exposes hidden truths. The town buzzed with clippings and whispers. A frail, grainy video rippled across screens, sparking nostalgia and controversy alike. Mike Thompson, once the humble mechanic in the heart of a bustling Midwestern town, stood there passionate, determined, and full of raw emotion, fighting for the Veterans Center that had been the lifeblood of the community for decades. With every fervent word he uttered, you could almost hear the very heart of the town beating in tandem. His righteous fury against corporate giants who sought to snuff out the center resonated deeply. In that moment, it was clear Mike was not just fighting for a building. He was standing for the hardworking people who had sacrificed so much for the country. Flash forward 18 years, and that once proud mechanic now basked in the glow of millionaire status thanks to his groundbreaking automotive invention. But within Mike's luxurious walls sat a heavy weight of an unforgiving past. The stories and sacrifices that filled the Veterans Center were now drowned out by the sound of his success, much to the discontent of the townsfolk who once rallied behind him. A volatile mix of admiration and resentment brewed as the community began voicing their opinions. Was Mike truly successful, or had he forgotten the struggle he once bore? In the nights of sweat and fatigue, he had worked tirelessly to support his family, hands raw from toil. His father, an unsung hero who instilled in Mike the very values that built the foundation of their lives, had a smile on his face even through struggle. They spent many evenings at the Veterans Center, sharing stories, laughter, and a sense of purpose that shaped Mike's identity. He often recalled those hushed, intimate moments, looking back on how passionate he was about defending their sanctuary, even when it meant risking everything. But now he wore wealth like a necklace, heavy and guilt-ridden, just as he readied to face the townsfolk at an upcoming town hall meeting. His estranged brother Eric resurfaced like a dark cloud, wielding their shared troubled childhood as a weapon. Luck ascenti success, Eric taunted, drawing battle lines in Mike's heart. Each jab landed like a spear, igniting insecurities long buried. Was he truly the man he wanted to be, or had he turned his back on the ideals that once defined him? Then a storm brewed. The Veterans Center threatened with financial collapse. Mike's heart raced as echoes of the past came rushing back. The townsfolk began to murmur, expressions shifting from admiration to contempt. He felt an acute surge of anxiety, as doubts washed over him like a cold wave. Just as he prepared to speak, a sudden power outage snuffed out the lights, plunging the room into an unsettling darkness. Gasps filled the air, creating an almost palpable tension. In the silence, Mike's thoughts spun wildly. The weight on his shoulders pressed down harder now. Reputation, family, loyalty all at stake. As he stood there, heart hammering, he felt the urgency to reclaim the truth of who he was. Could he shine a light through this darkness? Would the community demand honesty? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As hope flickered amidst uncertainty, Mike stood poised on the precipice of his past and future. The shadows loomed heavy, but he felt an ember of hope igniting within him. Would he reclaim his story, or would the ghosts of yesterday threaten to tear apart everything he fought for? Above the murmurs of uncertainty, one thing was clear: his journey was far from over, and the truth yearned to break free. The room felt thick with tension, like the air before a thunderstorm. Mike stood in that choking darkness, breath hitching in his throat. Panic surged through him, and yet there was a flicker of clarity in the chaos. Wasn't it time to face the truth? To have his voice heard again, just as it was long ago when the fate of the Veterans Center hung in the balance. The reality of the current moment weighed heavily. The murmurs reflected uncertainty and suspicion. Some members of the community had longed for his success, but now many had shifted from admiration to envy. Their whispers, once filled with pride, now echoed disappointment. It was a bitter pill to swallow. Gathering some courage, Mike raised a hand, palms sweating as darkness pressed around him. "I may have forgotten," he started, his voice unexpectedly steady, cutting through the uncertainty. "I may have forgotten what it felt like to stand here with nothing but hope in my heart." Silence cloaked the room, and for a moment, everyone held their breath. "But I haven't forgotten you." His words landed heavy, glimmers of surprise flickering in the eyes of the townsfolk. He took a breath, filled with raw emotion. This place, the Veterans Center, it means everything. It isn't just bricks and mortar. It's about the stories, the laughter, the humanity. He felt a surge inside, a light igniting against the backdrop of doubt, and the darkness around him felt less ominous. His words rippled through the crowd, reflecting memories that brought them all together, years of sacrifice, camaraderie, and community spirit. With each heartfelt confession, he was drawing the townsfolk closer. He shared his memories, the late nights repairing engines, the rich laughter of old war heroes sharing tales, and the solidarity that defined the very essence of their lives. Suddenly, as he spoke, the emergency lights flickered on like stars breaking through a heavy cloud. The glow illuminated weary faces, revealing a spectrum of emotions from hope to skepticism. Among them, he spotted Eric's expression, dark and pained but softening with every word Mike uttered. It was the first crack in the armor that had kept them apart for so long. "I can't undo the past," Mike declared, vulnerability in his voice. "But I can tell you that success without purpose feels hollow. I want to help. The Veterans Center needs us now more than ever." As realization washed over the crowd, a wave of murmurs shifted gears, transforming from criticism to contemplation. They were thinking not just about Mike's wealth but about shared values. The chair at the front of the room, an old veteran in a faded beret, stood to speak. He cleared his throat, the rustle of silence falling upon them again. "Mike, you are more than your money. Show us." Those words echoed in Mike's heart, and he felt the greatest challenge ahead of him. Could he hold onto his success while rebuilding the bridges that had frayed at the edges? Would he really be able to regain the community's trust and put the Veterans Center back on solid ground? With determination solidifying in his chest, Mike clenched his fists, ready to fight not with anger or resentment, but with hope and unity. He took a deep breath, the flickering lights reflecting off his fervent gaze. "Let us make a vow tonight," he proposed, a hint of conviction seeping into his tone. "Let us reclaim what truly matters. For the veterans, for each other, and for our future." As hands began to raise in support, a faint smile crept upon Mike's face, hope bubbling like a fresh stream breaking through layers of ice. But with the glimmer of unity dawning, an unexpected figure pushed through the crowd. Jenna, the town's local journalist, her expression alarmed. With urgency in her voice, she spoke before Mike could react. "I just got word. There's more to the story. Someone's been sabotaging the center." The room went still again, and Mike's heart dropped. What had begun as an opportunity for healing now posed an ominous threat. What did this mean for his renewed path? And as shadows loomed once more, he felt the pang of uncertainty digging deep into his gut. Would he once again be faced with a choice that tested his resolve? Could he muster the strength to uncover the truth? Or would this new revelation push them farther apart? Jenna's voice hung in the air, heavy and filled with tension. The crowd flinched at her words, uncertain of what they might mean. Mike took a step back, the flood of emotions crashing over him. Sabotage? His mind reeled. Could someone really be out to destroy everything he had tried to rebuild? Uncertainty gripped him like an iron vice. "My source is reliable," Jenna pressed on, her voice steady, but the tension crackled like static electricity. "I've heard whispers of financial discrepancies and plans to undermine the center's funding. Someone wants to see it fail." Her eyes surveyed the crowd, looking for understanding and maybe support. "And if it is true, we need to uncover the truth before it's too late." The murmurs intensified, and Mike felt the weight of the room shift again, like a brick wall slowly crumbling. Fear was palpable now, threading itself into the hearts of those who had hoped. Heroes were seldom found without confrontation. The truth could be a weapon or a shield. What do we do? Eric's voice shattered the quiet, filled with anguish. His expression, once carved from resentment, now looked uncertain and vulnerable. I wish I had the answers, Mike said, swallowing hard. But we can't let fear take control. We must investigate this together. The center is part of our lives. It deserves our fight. Determination flared within him again. One by one. Heads began to nod. Mike noticed that the flickering light now reflected a different kind of hope within their eyes. Uncertainty still loomed, but a sense of unity began creeping in, twisting around the doubts like vines ready to bloom. Let us form a committee, Jenna suggested, her voice infused with urgency. We can start asking questions, talking to the staff, and looking through the center's records. We have to confront this head-on. If there is someone trying to bring it down, we need to find them before it's too late. I'll help, Eric said, conviction breaking out across his face. I can talk to some of the veterans. They might have seen something suspicious. One by one, others began to stand, a wave of courage rising through the room like a powerful tide. I'll reach out to the local businesses for support. A woman near the back shouted, lifting her hand like a dam breaking under pressure. I'll gather the stories of those who benefited from the center, someone else echoed. Mike felt the heat pool in his chest, the warmth of this newfound determination. This was what he had fought for, a community united. He smiled through the tightening knot of anxiety. Yes, we can do this together. But deep down, a nagging thought wormed its way into his mind. What if the sabotage came from someone inside? A trusted friend? The very people gathered around him? His heart raced, the thrill of the chase mixed with the despair of doubt. The stakes were high. As they began to formulate their plan, Mike's mind raced ahead. Could they uncover the truth before it spiraled out of control? Could he really trust his newfound allies with everything he held dear? Would they stand together when the storm hit, or would they fracture under the pressure? Outside, clouds loomed, hinting at an impending thunderstorm, mirroring the tempest brewing within the community. They were on the brink of something monumental. Let us meet tomorrow afternoon at the center, Jenna wrapped up, her fierce determination igniting the sparks of their spirit. This is just the beginning. As they dispersed, Mike felt the churning in his stomach again. A late realization washed over him as he stepped into the night's embrace. Dark shadows loomed everywhere, and he had no idea where the next blow would come from. But one thing was for sure, he had to prepare for the worst. The truth was coming, and it might shatter everything or set them free. Would courage be enough when the time came to confront the hidden hand at work? What lay beneath the surface waiting to be uncovered? As dawn broke, a thick mist hung low over the community center, shrouding everything in an eerie silence. Mike stood at the entrance, heart pounding as he made his way inside. The air felt heavy, thick with the weight of expectation and the storm that loomed beyond the horizon. Jenna was already there, pacing nervously. "Good morning," she said, trying to force a smile. It faltered as she took in his anxious expression. "Have you heard anything?" Mike asked, searching her eyes for reassurance. "Not yet," she admitted, running a hand through her hair. "But I've compiled a list of people we can talk to. We need to dig deep." Around them, the room slowly filled with familiar faces, each one marked by uncertainty, but driven by a new purpose. Eric arrived first, carrying a stack of papers. "I spoke to the veterans. They noticed some odd transactions lately, but no one could pinpoint where the money was going." He paused. "It's worse than I thought." A chill shot through Mike. The whispers that had lingered in the air for too long were beginning to coalesce into something more menacing. "What do you suggest?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. "Let us start with our board members. Most of them were involved in the financial decisions," Jenna suggested, a fire igniting in her eyes. "If there is a leak, it might be from there." As the morning wore on, the group gathered in tight circles, their voices a mixture of fear and determination. The sun managed to break through the clouds, casting a warm glow over their faces. It felt almost like a sign, but in the depths of Mike's mind, shadows still danced, whispering doubts. "Hey," Eric said, pulling Mike aside. "What's wrong? You don't look good. It's just I can't shake the feeling that someone we trust is involved in this. What if it's someone on the board? Someone who seems like a friend?" Mike's heart raced at the thought. Eric met his gaze, serious. "We need to consider all possibilities. We might be too naive trusting everyone. We have to protect the center, no matter what." That resonated with Mike. The stakes were high, and clarity was necessary. Let's draw up a list everyone's affiliations, their pasts. We need to scrutinize more than just the money. As the hours flew by, they gathered evidence, piecing together what seemed like an intricate puzzle. Tension marked every moment, and every piece of new information felt like a jigsaw piece sliding into place. But the overall picture remained murky. Suddenly, Jenna burst into the room, her face pale. "You guys need to see this," she said, clutching her phone. She turned the screen towards them. A local news article reported discrepancies in the community center's funding, detailing an anonymous tip sent to the news outlet. "Why didn't we hear about this sooner?" Mike demanded, heart pounding. "It just came out," Jenna said, her voice shaky. "But there's more. The article hints at someone close to the center leaking information. They mentioned a financial review." Her voice trailed off. "What does that mean?" Eric asked, brows furrowing. "It means we're not just dealing with sabotage anymore. We might be dealing with betrayal from within," she said, her voice quaking as the enormity of the situation hit them. Mike clenched his fists. Betrayal could cut deeper than any external attack. The atmosphere turned tense, the camaraderie forged in earlier moments starting to fray. "We have to find out who's behind this. And fast," he said, determination flooding back into his veins. "We can't let this destroy what we've built." As they rallied, Mike couldn't shake the feeling creeping in. What if someone close was watching their every move? What if the storm wasn't just outside anymore, but contained in their very midst? The door creaked open. A figure appeared, silhouetted against the light streaming in. Mike's heart stuttered. But who was it, and what secrets did they bring? There was no turning back now. Would the truth that lay ahead bind them tighter or tear them apart? The figure stepped into the room, bathed in the golden light filtering through the mist outside. As Mike squinted, trying to discern who it was, familiar features began to emerge. It was Ava, the former club president, the one who had led the community center through its most vibrant years. The last time they had seen her, there had been a falling out, an argument when she chose to resign rather than confront the board. "Ava," Mike's voice caught in his throat. "What are you doing here? I heard there was trouble." "I wanted to see for myself," she said, her expression unreadable. The air thickened with the weight of unspoken history. "What trouble?" "You could have called," Jenna interjected, crossing her arms. "We have enough on our plates without unexpected guests." "I know," Ava replied, stepping further into the room. "But I have information. Someone contacted me." Her eyes darted toward the group, then settled on Mike. "They said I could help." "What kind of help?" Eric asked, leaning in, his skepticism apparent. "The kind where I expose the truth," she said, her voice low but steady. "I know things about those who have been running the center since my day. Things that connect to these discrepancies." Mike exchanged glances with Jenna and Eric. Despite her past, there was a flicker of hope igniting in him. "If you can prove that someone has been sabotaging us from the inside, then we need that information now more than ever," he urged. Ava took a deep breath, glancing at the assembled group. "You'll find it hard to believe, but the financial reports I received from my contacts reveal a pattern. There's been illicit trading linked back to members of the board, and a few old friends," she revealed, her voice growing fierce. "And I have a lead that might expose it." "What do you need from us?" Mike asked, feeling a surge of urgency. "We need to work together. I can't go up against them alone." "You're already in the thick of this," she said, sincerity washing over her features. "But I warn you, finding the truth comes with risks. People who cross certain lines don't just back down." Mike's stomach churned at the thought. Trusting Ava again was a leap, but so was trusting everyone else in that room. "Then it's settled. We'll figure this out as a team," he stated firmly, determination settling over him like armor. Jenna still looked uneasy, arms folded tightly across her chest. "How do we know you're not part of it?" she asked, her voice strong. "After everything I know, and I get it," Ava replied, her voice softening. "I earned that distrust. But I'm here now because I believe in what we built together. I won't let it fall apart without fighting back." Slowly, Eric nodded, and Jenna relented slightly, uncrossing her arms. A flicker of hope surged among them, but concealed doubt still hovered like the morning mist. "Where do we start?" Mike asked, rallying the group's resolve. Ava pulled out an old file, the edges worn and the pages crinkled. "This," she said, holding it up. "It contains details about the financial dealings and names of potential suspects. We'll need to be discreet, check every angle without alarming anyone." Mike felt a swell of intention. This could be the turning point, the chance to claw back everything they cared about. Yet, an unsettling chill skittered down his spine. If something was rotten, what more would they uncover? As they gathered closer, poring over the newly revealed information, a sudden thought struck Mike: would reopening these old wounds only stir the pot of betrayal even further? Outside, dark clouds began swirling ominously. Not merely a storm in the skies, but a sense of impending chaos in the very air they breathed. What awaited them as they dove deeper into the mystery? Would the haunted past they tried to leave behind rise to meet them? The room felt charged with tension as Ava laid the file on the table, its presence a stark reminder of all the secrets packed tightly within its pages. Mike could almost hear the heartbeat of history echoing in the silence. He pushed the thought aside, focusing instead on what lay ahead. "Let us split up the names," Ava suggested, her voice steady with purpose. "I'll take this list of board members. You guys can dig into the financial statements." With a nod, Jenna grabbed a pen and started jotting down notes, her brows furrowing as if drawing the lines of her determination. "We need to be careful. This isn't just about proving a point. It's about protecting everything we love." "Right," Eric said, sliding a chair closer. "Look, we're in this together, but we have to tread lightly. If anyone finds out what we're up to," he let the thought dangle in the air, the threat implicit. "We're not exactly the most liked group right now." The wind howled outside, matching the uncertainty swirling among them. Mike tried to shake off the creeping dread. They had come too far to back down now. Hours ticked by as they sifted through dusty papers and old records. The room soon filled with murmurs of frustration among them. Names and numbers blurred together, but Ava remained focused. With every clue they pieced together, the picture grew clearer, yet darker. "Hey, look at this," Mike exclaimed suddenly, his finger snagging on a name that sent chills down his spine. James Ryder. He was involved with the center when Ava was president. What if he's mixed up in all of this? Ava looked up, her eyes wide as realization crossed her face. "I thought he disappeared. He was always good at covering his tracks." "Good or smart?" Jenna shot back. "It sounds to me like we need to dig deeper, find out where he's been. This isn't just about money anymore." But as they scrutinized the notes, Mike felt something even more unsettling growing. What if he left something behind? A trail we can follow? Eric leaned back, his expression shadowed. "If he's as shady as you say, digging could expose us. You remember how he treated people who got too close?" Ava shuddered, memories of past arguments and closed doors rushing back. "We need to face these ghosts. We can't let fear win. Not again." They exchanged looks, uncertainty mixing with determination. Together, they shuffled the papers around, a frantic energy igniting among them. Ava led the charge, pulling everyone together, her enthusiasm a flickering flame in the growing darkness. But even with all the planning, the nagging thought lingered in Mike's mind: what if peeling back the layers unearthed more than just financial irregularities? What if it ripped apart everything they thought they knew? Outside, the wind picked up, the sky threatening to unleash the storm, mirroring the tempest of emotions brewing in the room. "After what we've uncovered, we need to decide what's next," Mike said, his voice steady but full of underlying tension. This can't just be about getting at the truth anymore. We need to think about how it affects us. Before they could respond, Ava's phone buzzed loudly, slicing through the air like a knife. She grabbed it quickly, glancing at the screen. Her face froze, and the color drained from her cheeks. "Who is it?" Jenna asked, her tone suddenly tense. Ava swallowed hard. "It's him. Ryder he wants to meet." The weight of that moment crashed over them like the crashing waves on the shore. Mike's heart raced. The moment of truth was coming faster than they expected. Would they be ready when it arrived? What secrets lay buried in the confrontation with their past? Ava's hand trembled as she lowered the phone. The reality of the message sank deep. "What do we do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Mike could see the flicker of fear in her eyes, the flash of memories she fought hard to push away. "We need to know what he wants," he said, though his own voice felt unsteady. "But we can't go alone. Why would he even want to talk to us?" Eric interjected, crossing his arms defensively. "He's been ghosting us for years. Maybe he thinks he can control the narrative," Jenna replied, her mind racing. "Or maybe he's feeling the heat." She turned to Ava. "Do you remember anything that might give us an edge? Any leverage?" Ava thought carefully, the tension in her brow deepening. "He used to brag about how he could twist anyone around his finger. But," she hesitated, a memory surfacing. "He was always paranoid about his past. There's something he wouldn't want us to find." "Then we use that," Mike said, a glimmer of resolve strengthening his voice. "Let us dig into his background, see if we can find something to turn the tables." Jenna nodded, flipping through the papers as if searching for clues among the letters. "If he wants to meet, we can't just walk in blind. We need every angle covered." The weight of her words sank in as they recognized the enormity of what lay in front of them. The wind outside howled louder, rattling the windows, an echo of their internal storm. Ava took a deep breath, collecting herself. "I'll ask some old contacts. Maybe they have info on his whereabouts or changes in his life. Let me handle the financial end," Eric said, shifting in his chair. "If he's been up to something shady, the money trail won't lie." They split up the tasks with urgency, heads down, moving through the clutter of papers again. Hours passed, fueled by adrenaline and the ticking clock. Mike played with the idea of what might come of this meeting. The looming confrontation hung over them, heavy yet electric as the night deepened. They finally reconvened around the table, minds racing with new findings. "Ava, you were right," Jenna said. "Ryder actually took a big hit financially a few years back. Reports show he suffered a massive loss, but there's nothing after that. It's like he vanished, which means he could be desperate," Eric added, excitement spilling from his tone. "Desperate people tend to make mistakes." Ava sat still, processing. The past she had long buried was demanding her attention again. "We have to prepare for any outcome," she warned. "It's not just about gathering information anymore. It's about our safety." They agreed to meet the following morning at a discreet location, a fear-laden excitement twinkling in their eyes. As they wrapped up for the night, Mike caught Ava's gaze. "No matter what happens, we're in this together. Just like we always have been." Ava nodded slowly, but the flicker of doubt remained. As they departed, the wind howled once more, a harbinger of the storm ahead. The world outside felt different, more intense, more real. Each raindrop that fell seemed like a countdown ticking away their last moments before the storm would finally break. What awaited them in that hidden room was uncertain, but it was now or never. When Mike glanced back at the house shadows casting ominous shapes against the dim light, he wondered if facing Ryder would unravel everything they thought they knew, or if it would finally bring closure to a chapter long left open. Would the revelations bring them peace or plunge them deeper into chaos? The stakes were rising, and with that came the undeniable question: who would emerge unscathed after confronting the truth? Morning arrived with a heavy mist enshrouding the town. The clouds hung low, a gauzy curtain that masked the sun's effort to shine through. As Ava stepped out of her house, her heart raced. Today felt momentous, each beat echoing the weight of their impending meeting. She pulled her coat tighter around her, the chill of the air biting at her skin. The diner they chose as their meeting spot was a small, nondescript place on the outskirts of town. It was the kind of place where secrets breathed alongside the sizzling bacon and brewed coffee. Inside, the aroma wrapped around her like a comforting blanket as she spotted her friends already seated in a corner booth. Voices lowered, eyes darting around. Ava slid into the seat, scanning their faces. There was an unspoken tension hanging over the table, tightening like a noose. "Did anyone hear anything new?" she asked, suppressing her nervousness. "Nothing solid," Eric said, stirring cream into his coffee. "But I've got my ear to the ground. If Ryder's planning anything, I'll find out." Mike looked thoughtful. "We're approaching this like we know what he wants. But what if it's not what we think? What if the truth is worse than we imagine?" Jenna leaned in, her eyes sharp with determination. "We can't let fear dictate our actions. Remember, we have the upper hand now." "He," the one with something to lose. Ava nodded but couldn't shake the unease creeping through her. Perhaps Jenna was right. Perhaps they were no longer the vulnerable ones. But the shadows of their shared past loomed too large for comfort. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself as they discussed possible scenarios. Ava's thoughts drifted. The image of Ryder flashed through her mind, his sly smile, the way he used to wield power over them with a flick of his wrist. She had spent years moving on, but the memories felt fresh, raw. What would he look like now? Would regret shadow his face? Or would he be just as confident? "Focus," Mike snapped, breaking her reverie. "This is not just about Ryder's secrets. We need to stick together. We need a plan for when we face him." The urgency in his voice pulled her back. She locked eyes with Jim, who had been silent, but she could see the emotion bubbling just below the surface. "We're not here to play games," he finally said, his voice steady. "If we're going to do this, we need to trust each other completely." The group exchanged glances, weighing the honesty of those words. Trust wasn't something easily earned, especially not with history lined with betrayals and misunderstandings. Suddenly, the door chimed, and the bell's ring sent a ripple of unease through the group. Ava turned to see a tall figure step into the diner, the world outside still damp and gray behind him. It was Ryder. Time seemed to freeze, the chatter in the room dimming as he scanned the space with piercing eyes. A riverside memory flooded back, Ryder standing at the riverbank, painting them all with his charisma, saying, "You'll never be free until you confront your ghosts." Ava felt her heart race, the moment heavy with meanings. They pushed their chairs back as if they were children confronting a bossy teacher. Teeth clenched, ready for a showdown, Ryder strolled towards them with a confident stride, and Ava's stomach knotted. She had to remind herself that today was not about the past. It was about the moment, about reclaiming control. "Interesting choice of meeting place," he said, his smirk tinged with something unreadable. "Simply a backdrop for a little family reunion." Mike shot back, fury flickering in his eyes. "Let us not waste any time." As they settled into place, Ava realized this was more than a meeting. It was an unearthing of buried truths. Every heartbeat seemed to sync with the clock ticking down to an inevitable climax. But as Ryder opened his mouth to speak the first words, something in his expression made Ava pause. Was there a glimpse of vulnerability or just another layer of deceit about to be unveiled? The air thickened, and the moment stretched tight, the stakes higher than any of them could have imagined. Would they finally confront the truth? Or was this just the beginning of a far darker game? The anticipation stirred in her chest, a weight she couldn't shake. What would Ryder reveal next? And would it be enough to finally break the cycle? Or would it only reinforce their fears? Ryder leaned back slightly, his gaze sweeping over the group, taking in the tense atmosphere. The diner seemed to hold its breath, as if even the clatter of dishes and the hum of conversations outside had faltered in anticipation. The stark reality of why they were all here weighed heavily in the air. "Ava," he began, his voice smooth, like silk over gravel. "It's been a long time. I must say, you've all changed quite a bit." Her jaw tightened at his casualness, the way he seemed to enjoy this moment. She gripped her coffee cup harder, temperature forgotten, as the warmth faded beneath her fingers. "Cut the small talk, Ryder. We didn't meet here just for a stroll down memory lane. Jenna nodded emphatically. We know why you're here. What do you want? Ryder's smirk deepened, and for a fleeting moment, a flicker of uncertainty crossed his features, almost imperceptibly. What I want. Is it so wrong to reconnect with old friends? The sarcastic lilt was unmistakable. Friends? Jim scoffed, disbelief coloring his tone. You tried to tear us apart. You think we forget that? Ryder clasped his hands together, leaning in, his demeanor shifting. Look, I didn't come here to rehash the past. I'm here because I need something, and believe it or not, you are the ones who can help me. Ava's heart hammered against her ribcage. This was completely unexpected. She exchanged glances with the others, shock rippling among them. Help you? She asked incredulously. After everything you did? Everything I did was to protect my interests. You know that, he countered, raising an eyebrow. But believe it or not, I'm at risk now. I wouldn't have come if it wasn't serious. The room buzzed with confusion as the weight of his words settled in. What are you talking about? Eric asked, his voice shaking slightly. What could possibly put you in danger? Ryder hesitated, a shadow flitting across his face. He glanced around the diner, and Ava noted the subtle shift in his posture. It's complicated, but let us just say there are people who won't take kindly to what I've done. I need your connections, your insights to help me navigate this. Ava felt a surge of emotions collide within her: anger, disbelief, even a flicker of concern. Could she really trust him again? Why should we help you? She shot back, her voice firm. You're the last person we owe anything to. His eyes softened for the first time, vulnerability peeking through the mask he wore. Because, whether you believe it or not, I'm not the same person. And I have secrets that can hurt you too, if they get out. The emphasis on hurt made her skin prickle. The silence hung densely. The unsaid resonated, echoing through their shared history. Would they risk everything for the sake of his redemption? Why should we believe you? Mike demanded, still skeptical. What are you really hiding? Ryder took a deep breath, and for a moment, Ava could almost see the wheels turning in his mind. Because if you don't help me, everyone pays the price, not just me, he answered, glancing around the table, his voice dropping to a whisper. I need you to trust me. For once, the challenge hung in the air. Ava could see the uncertainty mirrored in her friend's eyes, the fight in their spirits wavering. She felt the weight of the moment, the possibility of betrayal mixed with a sliver of hope. What's your plan, then? Jenna asked, her voice steadying. If we're to do this, we need to know exactly what we're getting into. Let us just say I have a blueprint. Ryder replied, leaning in closer, his voice low. And it's going to take all of us to survive this. You may not want to trust me, but you need to. Ava felt her heart race anew, caught between past grievances and a prospective future that was suddenly muddled with uncertainty. Would they follow him into the unknown? Or was this another trap? Can we really afford to ignore the gravity of this? She pondered, steeling herself. As they settled into the looming discussion, unease teetered at the edges. Every truth unveiled could bring them closer together or pull them apart forever. What secrets lurked just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel, and would they emerge united or shattered? Ava looked around the table, her heart racing at Ryder's proposition. So, you have a plan, but what makes you think we would ever listen to you? Her voice came out stronger than she felt, determination chasing away the uncertainty just for a moment. I can't explain everything now, but I'll show you, Ryder replied, his eyes sharp and calculating. There are forces at work that you don't fully understand, and I'm at the center of it. If you don't help me, it could put everything we care about in jeopardy. Jenna crossed her arms. You make it sound like we owe you something. We don't owe you anything. She shot back, her fierce demeanor a wall of defiance. Mike finally spoke up, his voice steady and urgent. We need to weigh the risks. If what Ryder says is true, then sitting idle isn't an option. The tension was palpable, the weight of trust and betrayal hanging heavily in the thick air. Each heartbeat echoed the question lingering at the back of their minds. Could they trust Ryder again? Ryder leaned closer, his manner shifting from smug confidence to something raw and earnest. There's something you need to know: the discrepancies at the center aren't just about mismanagement. They could expose people involved in dangerous activities. I know names. I have evidence. But I need your help to gather more. The words hung in the air, a spark igniting the mixture of fear and adrenaline weaving through the group. Ava's mind raced, uncertainty battling against the flickering hope. Was this truly the moment they'd turn the tides, banding together against a threat that transcended their personal histories? What if this is a trap? Eric challenged, skepticism creeping into his tone. What if you're just looking to save your own skin? I'd have walked in alone if I wanted to safeguard just my own, Ryder replied, an edge in his voice as he glanced around, gauging their reactions. I'm not the only one in danger. If the truth gets out, we all lose. Ava swallowed hard, weighing the implications. We heard from a source about financial sabotage. If you can link those to individuals involved, that'd reassure us. Ryder nodded, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. You get the intel and I'll connect the dots. But you need to trust me when the time comes to act. The gravity of the moment caught them all. They shared sidelong glances, weighing the possibilities against their experiences, the hidden shadows of betrayal, the very bitter memories they carried. At that moment, their choice wasn't just about trusting Ryder. It was about remembering who they were together. Fine, Mike finally spoke, his determination echoing in his strong voice. We'll do it, but we're taking every precaution. We're not going to give you the upper hand just because you come with promises of truth. Jenna nodded in agreement, emboldened by Mike's words. Ava felt a renewed sense of purpose swelling within her, the old bonds of camaraderie stirring back to life. Let us set a timeline, Eric suggested, a glimmer of hope threading through his tone. We'll meet again in a week. Find out what you can, Ryder. We'll be gathering intel of our own. Agreed, Ryder said, feeling the change in the atmosphere. We'll uncover the truth together. As they finalized their plan, a wave of relief washed over them, but with it came a reminder. This was just the beginning. The storm clouds outside swirled ominously, darkening the light, echoing the uncertainty of what lay ahead. They dispersed from the diner, adrenaline still thrumming in their veins. The world outside felt louder, fueled by fresh determination, each person stepping forward with a renewed purpose coursing through their limbs. The path forward wouldn't be easy, but together they marched into the unknown, friends turned alliances bound by a common goal: to fight for the truth and safeguard what was precious to them all. As Ava glanced back one last time at the diner, a flicker of hope ignited within her. Whatever challenges awaited, they would face them head-on. They were back together, emboldened, a family fighting for the heart of their community once more. The ground beneath their feet felt solid, a rock on which to build their fight against the swirling maelstrom of deception. This was the moment they would reclaim their narrative, the moment they stood united. Now more than ever, they were ready to face Ryder's uncertain betrayal, the hidden tendrils of deceit, and whatever else lurked in the shadows. Together they would rise. And speaking of rising together, this is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment on your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.